Greetings, all my fellow huntsmen out there. Duuz-Diz-Din back with another Rwby episode review, this time with Season 6, Episode 5, titled The Coming Storm. We open up with Little Miss, the information broker, and I'm guessing Underworld Queen, possibly? Who has the information that Cinder was previously seeking as to the whereabouts of Ruby Rose and her team. She informs Cinder that Ruby's team is moving towards Atlas, and as Cinder takes this information and tries to leave, we come to find out that Little Miss has also used some that information of Cinder and her current whereabouts for someone who was looking for her specifically, namely Neo, who in an ensuing fight has come to take her revenge on Cinder in a spectacularly choreographed fight scene. This fight is fantastic. Beautifully done. It flows so well. Like, my God, whoever worked on this, mwah, you need to do more because you are doing an amazing job. Definitely a great way to reintroduce Neo back into the current continuity. And what an introduction it is, as we have constantly just people have just been constantly wondering when Neo would come back into play and what role she would play in the ensuing seasons. However, we do have this great moment where Little Miss, while entertained by Cinder and Neo's showdown, asks them to take it outside as they're kind of wrecking her joint. And as they proceed outside, we get to see Neo wearing Roman Torchwick's bowler hat. She looks so good with it, but I do in fact miss Roman Torchwick. He was so fun. I loved his voice. I loved the way he acted and moved. His untimely demise is a great misfortune amongst the series, but it also helped to drive home just how anyone can really die at the drop of the hat in this series. Kind of solidified a lot of the more serious elements in this series as a whole. And they continue their fight. Very great stuff. Fun to see. However, Cinder quickly makes it known with a display of greater power, because honestly, I was starting to wonder about this whole fight. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Neo, but the power that Cinder actually wields is nothing to scoff at. And though Neo has shown a great amount of power and skill, I don't think she could quite take Cinder in a one-on-one fight. And we see that with Cinder showing off her, maiden powers. And she tells Neo straight out, it's just like, look, I know you're coming after me to get revenge on your former master, but I was not the one who killed him. The one you want and the one I want are the same person, Ruby Rose, and we should talk and help each other get our revenge. So that's the current mode of things. So we might end up seeing a team up of sorts between these two in the coming season. How close they actually will get in order to getting their revenge, only time will really tell. But then we cut back to Team Rwby at the ranch that seems to be abandoned, with Rwby making a very astute observation in the fact that this place seeming to be abandoned is very odd. Most abandoned villages and homes and so on and so forth that she's come across in her, previous travels, there was destruction and devastation. It was because of a grim attack, which made sense. But here it's almost like everything's still and quiet in a way that just doesn't quite make sense to her. And as they make their way inside, she notices pictures of the previous inhabitants of this ranch, and her feeling of unrest just grows more and more as time goes on, only for them to hear a scream from Weiss and to come upon the dead bodies of the inhabitants of the ranch, which I, I feel like this is the first time we've solidly seen dead bodies in this series. Normally, people are, consumed like Roman torchwick was, or, turned into dust or ash or what have you because of someone's power, or they've only just passed away, so it's just like you don't really linger on their body too much. But here, no, it's just like straight up they're starting to experience rigor mortis. Well, they've gone through rigor mortis, they're atrophying, the fact they're just it, these look like corpses who have just been around for a few months or so. Not quite completely gone, but still just fading and festering, and it is unsettling, honestly, which really goes to show just how well this story is starting to be written, because honestly the atmosphere of this entire place is just done so well. The lighting, the background music, the way the characters have been talking, and very hushed tone, you can sense the fear in their voices. The team is just doing a more and more phenomenal job with this series, and I really want to see how far they can take the series as a whole as they continue to get more and more just better at it as a whole. But they try to warm up with the fire, with, the most of them being kind of freaked out by everything that's happened. And Crow comes back from having, gone to the other houses, only to have found that most of the other inhabitants are like that as well, just dead, and haven't been dead for some time now. And ultimately it's decided that everyone will go searching out for some, various supplies, food, whatnot, just whatever they possibly can to hopefully get out of here, because it's just like they're in a place with a whole bunch of dead bodies. You wonder what happens to them. You don't want to stick around too long to find out. Just want to get up and get out of there. And then we have this nice little scene with Blake and Yang where they enter a storage shed, basically. And as, they look around, it becomes apparent that Yang is just feeling very fatigued with everything that's happened over the past 24 hours. Everything with the train, and then being in the snow, the whole situation with Jin. It's taken a toll on her and her emotional state as a whole, which is not helped by the fact that she starts seeing visions of Adam. And, Yang and Blake have this heart-to-heart where she even, tells her, it's just like, Blake says, hey, I've had issues with Adam too. He used to get in my head, make me feel lesser than what I actually am, which is the telltale signs of an abusive relationship. If you can, get out of there, but sometimes abusers will not let you out of a relationship that easily. So just always just keep an eye out, people, for stuff like that. When you start to notice that things aren't as they should be, or your partner is being a little more aggressive than you're comfortable with, do what you can to try to get out of that situation. Because people like that, there's something broken inside of them, and they'll drag you down with them. But, Blake and Yang have this heart-to-heart, and ultimately Blake kind of, in a way, puts her foot in her mouth by saying that she'll protect Yang. And Yang, is trying so hard not to, project this image of being helpless. It doesn't sit well with her. She's already gone through the motions of just feeling despair and useless and incapable, and she doesn't like feeling like people think that of her, like she's not capable of handling herself or doing what needs to be done in order to keep herself safe. I feel like she was looking more for Blake to just sympathize and say that they'll be, fight Adam together should they ever encounter him. But with Blake saying that she'll protect Yang, it Yang feels like she's being condescending to a certain degree, which definitely was not where Blake was coming from. She doesn't want to see her allies hurt because of her past. Meanwhile, we cut back in with Weiss and Rwby, who actually end up stumbling upon the wine cellar. And Rwby makes a very clear point that with all the things that Crow's been through, how he seems to be kind of spiraling into a bit of a depression and a dour mood, booze is very much the last thing they need him to get involved with during this time. They need him with his A game, sober as can be. And as, they go through, Weiss also kind of vents some issues that she's having in the fact that she does not want to return to Atlas. She went through so much in order to escape from Atlas. Going back is very much the last thing she wants. But, not only that, there's also the fact that there's no solid way to defeat Salem. So she's kind of lost a bit of her drive to a certain degree. But Rwby's just like, no, don't think that way. We have to keep moving forward and do what needs to be done, which is true because, Salem will bring about their end that much quicker should she get her hands on the relics. So at the very least, if they have it within their power to at least stave off Salem, I feel like they should keep moving forward as best they can. And as they do just that, they stumble upon this place with what seems to be a wine cellar, and God, this scene was creepy. I'm sorry, this scene was all kinds of creepy and unsettling, but it's quickly lightened up when Rwby finds food, cans of beans, so they're just like, yes, we're saved, we have food, things are looking a bit up. But as they leave the cellar, and this episode comes to a close, we see the cellar door open, just ever so slightly, only to close again. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I wish I had not watched this at night. I am a scared little baby when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, I do watch horror movies and, I do enjoy being scared, but at the same time, I freak out. I freak out so badly over stuff like this, and this freaked me out. I will have trouble sleeping tonight. If you're just like, man, really, get over it, but I'm sorry if I lose any kind of credit over this, but I am a scared little bitch, and I will gladly admit that because this scene freaked me out. I am not ready for whatever is going down in that cellar. It's chained up like, there's a reason for that. Don't go in there, my God. And now I'm just ready for the team to just get out of this ranch, but I know we're probably gonna have to deal with this. And no thank you. No thank you. But this overall was a fairly good episode. They've been doing a lot of good stuff in terms of this season, but at the same time, the plot is progressing along slower than I would have liked, but at the same time, they're trying to, create atmosphere and, get some character depth in there too, so I understand the slower pace. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. Did you enjoy the fight between Neo and Cinder? Do you think that's going to go in an interesting direction in and of itself? Are you enjoying the whole thing between Blake and Yang, where Blake has a lot of guilt over what happened with Adam, and Yang is feeling very frustrated with the, very coddling nature that's developing between her and Blake, and Yang is just growing greater and greater anger issues as this series goes on, which, I understand it, but at the same time, it's just like, man, I miss fun Yang. It's like, remember when Yang used to just be fun? It's like, yay grimdark and, actual character moments and layered issues and all that, but I miss fun. And the whole thing with Weiss not wanting to return to Atlas because everything that went down there, because you know her father's going to pull some shit, and it is going to be heartbreaking and sad, and it feels like Ruby's the only one without like major issues going on, and she's trying her best just to keep everything together. But I feel like the way this series is going, it's gonna come to a head, and all the emotional baggage going on around her is gonna start to affect her. It's just like, no, don't affect the precious child. She's trying to save the world, keep things optimistic and hopeful. She's trying so hard, people. She's trying so hard. But again, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you liked my review, leave me a like. If you didn't like my review, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me in the comments below what I'm doing wrong. And hey, how about subscribing for more episode reviews of Rwby? Cause it's unfortunately probably only gonna get creepier from here, man. Oh god.